I'm always bouncing around. I always want to try new things, do new stuff. I like being awful. I like failing. I like falling down because I know if I'm struggling that hard at something fresh and new, then of course my body, eventually if I stick with it, my body has to adapt.
Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
We are live from the Ben Reinberg I Own It studios today in Laguna Beach, California. And we have an incredible guest on today, someone I've been following, engaged with. It was 15 years ago. I was a young 38-year-old man. Everyone knows I'm 53 now. And I was introduced to this gentleman through the television. I was 185 pounds with 3 young kids, eating off their plate, a little bit heavier than I expected. I was an athlete as a kid and very athletic, and I was still working out. I was lifting weights, but I was getting real bulky. So I was about $185, as we say in Chicago. And I looked at my family, and my family were calling me Fat Ben, and I had to take a look in the mirror, and I looked at myself and I said, you know what, Ben, you got to change. And my sister-in-law said, you know, there's this guy on videos that I think you should take a look at. So I did, and bought his program, got a chin-up bar, threw it on the threshold to the kitchen, bought a set of Bowflex weights, and had a beautiful room with a TV and a lot of space. 90 days later, I was $157, ripped, had a 12-pack, and that 38-year-old young man looked like he was 20 at the time. Tony Horton, welcome to the show.
Ben, pleasure, my friend.
What a
heck of a story. It's a hell of a story. You had a 6-pack in the front and a 6-pack in the back.
That's right.
A lot of pack.
Ripped. And I did P90X. I've done it 4 times. I did P90X 3 times, and P90X 3 at least 5 times. So have gotten engaged. Me and my family have done your programs, and really I'm grateful to have you on the show. What a pleasure. Let's kick things off. Okay. You ready, Tony?
I am ready, man.
Okay.
Here we go for me, Ben.
So let's talk about your fitness journey. I know mine, and people now I've shared with my fitness journey. You were a 98-pound weakling with a speech impediment, and you then were working out of your garage as a personal trainer. And now you are who you are as Tony Horton, this world-renowned fitness trainer. How did this all come about? Let's unpack your story in front of everyone, because some of our audience is younger and they don't know Tony Horton. I think folks might know you. And I think it's a privilege for these folks to really hear what a true inspirational story is.
Well, yeah, you got part of that right. I mean, I was a skinny kid with a speech impediment, which is not a great way to start in life. So I became a target quite often. You know, my father was in the military, and then he got moved around with different jobs. So he moved 6 times before 5th grade. So, you know, little guy, non-athletic guy with a weird speech issue, new kid in the neighborhood. Let's stuff him in a locker. Let's take his lunch money. Let's beat him up. You know, it was rough early on, but everybody has their issues at some point in their life. Maybe it's when they're a little kid, or maybe through high school or college, or maybe maybe things start to go south when you get a little bit older. And I get all that. And that was my start. You know, I mean, my father was an amazing athlete. He could just, he was just one of those guys. But his father, my grandfather, just drove him into the ground. He made it a very unpleasant experience. And I think a lot of trainers and coaches and mentors still don't know the nuance on how to get people moving and taking care of themselves. They're too caught up in the win-loss columns, I think, when they're dealing with their athletes. That guy's not performing, we'll replace him with somebody else, as opposed to really nurturing and helping people get better. And I didn't like that. My father, he left me alone, partly because he was on the road 5 days a week with his job. So I only saw him really on the weekends for most of my young life. So I didn't have that mentor or teacher. I was kind of left on my own. I had some peers that were pretty athletic. One of my best friends was senior class athlete. The other one was a captain of the hockey team. And the other guys were like, one was the captain of the soccer team, but I was just, didn't make the tennis team, barely made the football team in high school. I was sort of a tackling dummy, really, Monday through Thursday. You know what I mean? I don't even know why they even kept me on the team, because I wasn't very good. So I was kind of clueless. The speech thing got improved over time because I worked on it. It was really, you wanted to be able to function in the world without getting made fun of all the time. I mean, kids are cruel, right? So, it is what it is. That was my journey. And then I got off to the University of Rhode Island, and I took a weightlifting course just because I thought, well, I don't look very good. I had kind of a paunch. I had skinny little arms. I'm an ectomorph. If you know anything about body shapes, styles, I was an ectomorph, which is, I would have made a great Tunisian marathoner or something. You know what I mean? But I put some weight on, and I put some muscle on. And the cool thing was that the instructor for that course that semester was just a funny, cool, likable person. And I had never had a coach or a teacher like that before. I mean, usually I'm used to getting berated or yelled at or whatever. Horton, what's wrong with you? Kind of crap that I had in high school. And a lot of kids respond to that. I didn't. You know what I mean? I was a 98-pound weakling with a speech issue, so I needed to be nurtured more a little bit, I guess. And I finally found a guy that did that. And I got jacked. I had pecs and arms, and being an ectomorph, it's a lot easier to kind of build muscle than maybe if you're a mesomorphs. Endomorphs are much harder. People that are just bigger boned, like lineman types. And so it was fun, and my confidence went through the roof, and my GPA went up that semester. Weird. Wonder why. I think I know why. And but when the semester ended, I didn't. Everything kind of went back to hell in a handcart again. But that was my first real introduction. I mean, I played a lot of frisbee, and I played golf poorly, and I played tennis poorly, and I played pickup hoop poorly. You know what I mean? And I always wanted to be better. I loved to ski, but I was terrible. I was just a terrible skier. I didn't know the form or technique because of the experiences I had as a kid. I just assumed, except for that one guy at the University of Rhode Island that got me started, everybody else I ever met was a jerk. You know what I mean? They were just lame at helping me get better at the things I wanted to do. They just didn't have the patience thing. You know what I mean? They were just barking at me like it was the 1950s or something. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Sports psychology was not a thing yet, right? Back in those days. And then, whatever. I got in a car, got in the Gran Torino with my buddy Bob and came out to California. And whoa, there are gyms in every corner. I'd only seen gyms at the university or at the high school. I didn't realize there were places where you could go do aerobics and the room was filled with women. Like, well, hello, I'm going in there. You know what I mean? Kickball change. Here we go. And then there's just, like 50 treadmills and 50 bikes and just, universal and cable machines and the dumbbell and barbell section. Like, whoa, it was a mecca, And so at one point I was a member of 4 different gyms just because I wanted different vibes, meet different people, And I also had 15 jobs. I was a pantomime at the pier when I was super broke. I was a handyman and a carpenter. I was a assistant manager at the Oak Tree men's clothing store. I was a bartender. I was a go-go dancer at Chippendales. Another story, long one. So, whatever. I was all over the place here. And then, very fortunately, when I was working over at 20th Century Fox on the lot as a PA or a production assistant, my boss noticed that I was changing. I mean, when I started working for them, I wasn't in shape yet, but I mean, this job was really cool because I was a young actor too. So I was trying to audition and they let me go into my auditions, and I didn't book too many things, a couple beer commercials and some modeling jobs, with bathing suits on, but I didn't, a couple small parts in movies. If you ever watch The 13th Warrior, you'll see an arrow go through my eyeball. It's kind of fun. So my life was all over the place, but I was in California and I was, living the dream. And when I was this PA for this production company, my boss is like, dude, you're changed in the last 6 months. I go, yeah, man, my agent's like, get your act together, pal, because you're not going to work in this town looking the way you're looking. So then, whatever, when I got him to lose about 35, 40 pounds, he was trying to make movies with a woman by the name of Julia Phillips. Her and her husband, Michael Phillips, produced Close Encounters of the Third Time, Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro, and The Sting with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. What was the other one? Close Encounters.
Great.
Taxi Driver. Yeah, those 3. And, so she and this guy, Harlan Goodman, were trying to make movies after she split up with her husband. And I was on the lot, which was cool because, all these amazing sets, movie stars everywhere, and I'm making coffee and delivering scripts and, hiding marijuana because she was smoking too much weed, whatever I had to do, it was the 80s. But I was, but Harlan, I just started training people. I go, you know what, I'm going to do the waiting tables thing, and I'm going to do the bartending thing. And I'm going to start training other people other than just Harlan. So I had a couple of doctors, husband, wife team that were docs, and I was training them. And I was training a couple of people on the lot, like secretaries or somebody, not a PA person, but a person who worked for the production company. And I went, maybe I'm a trainer now, not certified, completely clueless, just stealing off. I was a member of World Gym. So there's Gold's Gym and World's Gym, and World's Gym is where Arnold and Lou Ferrigno would train. And I'd be like taking notes, like, 57 sets of chest seems like a lot, but okay. Like, these guys are in here for 4.5 hours. And then I just sort of did that with Harlan. And so he and I went into my buddy's garage and worked out in the garage. And then about, half a year later, he quit the production company. I thought I would be a trainer, and I was just doing my thing. And then one day the phone rang, and it was Tom Petty. And apparently Harlan was walking down the hall of East End Management, and there was Tom, and he was smoking his cigarette. Hey, Harlan, holy crap, you look fantastic. I'm going on tour, and I'm getting fat, and nobody likes a fat rocker. And Harlan said, call Tony Horton. And so he did, and didn't tell me. And my roommate picks up the phone and goes, dude, there's somebody screwing around. This guy's downstairs messing with us. I go, hang up. So Bob hangs up on Tom. Tom calls right back. I think we got disconnected. No, Bob goes, dude, it sounds a lot like Tom Petty. So I go to, hello, we have our conversation. I go to his house the next day. I train him for 4 months. He goes off on tour, and everybody goes, what the hell happened to Tom Petty? I mean, he took all the sleeves off his shirts. He's wearing vests without shirts. He was freaking, right, striated, vascular, looked amazing.
What year was that?
1994, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, something like that, somewhere in that range. And then Billy Idol called, and then Bruce Springsteen called, and Annie Lennox from Eurythmics called, and Stephen Stills, Crosby, Stills, Nash called, and Stevie Nicks called, and Lindsey Buckingham, and Bryce Dallas Howard, and Sean Connery. Submarines don't react well to bullets. Shirley MacLaine, blah, blah, blue, 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 blang. I mean, movie stars and rock stars all day long at 5 o'clock in the morning. My first client was at 5 a.m. When I was done with my first client, it was still dark. And then I would drive my 66 classic Mustang convertible all over town, Hollywood, Culver City, Malibu, boo, boo, boo. And then the car got so beat up, I had to buy an old 84 Land Cruiser because when one was in the shop, the other one I would drive around. It was nuts. But I still, in 21 years in the same apartment, broke. Nobody knew who I was. You know what I mean? That little community of people did. I mean, it was really cool when everybody was in town. I started the day with Billy, and then I went over to Tom's. And then from Tom Petty's, I went to Annie Lennox's. And from Annie Lennox's, I went to Stephen Stills' house. And from Stephen Stills' house, I go to the boss's place. And then in between there, you'd fit in some Stephen Stills or Stevie Nicks or whatever. It was nuts, man, juggling all those folks. But, still auditioning, still trying to be an actor. This was like a side gig. It was better than doing mime at the pier or waiting tables or 10 in bar because I'm hanging out with, the biggest rock stars and movie stars in the world. A lot of fun. And this is all before the internet. I think the only photos I have are of me and Billy Idol. I have nothing with Tom, nothing with Bruce, nothing with anybody. It could be a whole made up story for anybody knows. But they know when I write the book, they'll know. Yeah, so that was it. No fame, no fortune. I broke, hand to mouth, barely able to pay my bills because, I'm charging people $75 or $125, which was a lot more than minimum wage that I was getting on other gigs. But I would piss it away. I'd buy a new pair of something or whatever, new hubs for my car. Whatever. I had no financial advisor at the time. And then, then I read one of these books behind me, and at the end of a chapter, it said, go out of your way and do something nice for somebody that you don't like just because it's the right thing to do. And I thought, well, that's stupid. Why would I do that? I don't even do nice things for other people that I like. But I went, okay, go out of your way and do something nice for something. So this guy I used to play hoop with on Saturdays, who was an attorney, and he was a big burly dude, and he was super bright, and he had a beautiful wife and a perfect life. And I was super jealous of him, and he didn't like me, and I didn't like him. And I went, go out of your way. So he was bitching and moaning about his weight between games on a Saturday. And I thought, well, maybe this is the good deed I have to go do. I'm sure he'll say no. Like, why would he want my help? He's got somebody else who's probably a bigger deal than me. And he said, great. When can we start? I was like, what? Oh, crap. Now I got to hang out with this guy at my apartment. And, within a week, we discovered that we had a lot in common and we really enjoyed each other's company. And a year later, he introduced me to a young, ambitious entrepreneur by the name of Mr. Carl Deichler, who did 7-minute abs. That was his claim to fame. He was out of Philly. And then Carl and I just hit it off, man. We had a lot of fun together back in those days. And then Carl did his first infomercial called Great Body Guaranteed. And he made me the lead guy. And I'd already worked for Nordic Track. I was going back and forth between Minneapolis and here but I was doing the super. Hi, I'm Tony Horton, and welcome to the series of Nordic Track fitness equipment. Today, we're going to, right? Because they didn't want the silly or the humor or the whatever. They just wanted it straight. And I looked the part. I was a trainer. I could read a teleprompter pretty well at that point because I had a show on the Playboy channel for 2 years, reading prompters and having a co-host. Another story there, Ben.
Yeah.
Just making my way, like little, like
I didn't get that in the notes. We might have to unpack.
You didn't get. Yeah, it was called Playboy 360. It was me and Tracy Tweed, Shannon Tweed's younger sister, who was a playmate. But studio, 3 cameras, teleprompters, doing comedy bits. I mean, like, what an education that was for me. So when I finally started working for Nordic Track, it was easy. I mean, I got that gig because nobody else could do what I could do, And then, then Carl and I did this thing, Great Body Guaranteed. He paid me a couple grand. I went, oh, okay, whatever. And it worked. Like, I didn't know the ins and outs of how you took that program and then you created media for it. And you did these infomercials and you'd buy these wild spots in Portland and Miami and San Diego and in Cumberland, Rhode Island, whatever. You just buy and they'd pay for them. And then if you threw $8,000 at it and you made 16, you're great. If you put $8,000 on it and you made 1, you could only do that for 2 or 3 more weekends, then your project is dead. It kept doing well. People noticed. So Carl said, hey man, let's do the next thing called Power 90. We called it Power 90, which is the 90-day program. It was P90X Lite. A lot of people don't even know that it ever existed. I was young. I had nice skin. I was looking good. And still the humor thing wasn't in there yet. It was just pretty dull, pretty straight. And that got me out of the apartment after 21 and a half years. The royalties started rolling in and I could buy a nice car and I could buy a 4-bedroom home. I mean, it was like a massive leap, right? And then I was still training people too. I was still doing whatever I could because I just thought this is going to all go away. I had this big old house with no furniture in it. I had a bed and a couch and a lot of echoing. Every time I walked into a room, they were empty because the house was nice house, expensive house, but I couldn't, I didn't know what I was doing. Finally got the financial advisor, then did Power 90 flatlined. I mean, nothing because, 6 days a week and eating right. Everybody wanted to get on the Abba Dabba Do chair, right? I mean, 3 minutes a day, 3 times a week. They were used to seeing garbage on TV and this looked like the real deal. And it was. And then eventually people were submitting their own before and after pictures and videos. Like, we didn't ask for this stuff. So we took the test group footage out of the infomercial and we put mom and pop stuff in there. And everybody at home were like, oh, wow, there's my Uncle Sam. I know that guy. Hey, those look like real people. And then it went from like, 3 to 5 million copies, which was, breaking records at that point. And then, I could pay my bills, buying some furniture, getting by, going on ski trips. And then we said, what do we want to do next? And we just came up with, let's make Power 90 harder. Let's add pull-ups. Let's add core synergistics. Let's put something called ABRX. So I had a year to develop P90X, like a year. Take this time, go meet with the experts. What do you think you need? And what it ended up being was the opposite of what Carl and other people at Beachbody thought it should be. But I stuck to my guns and I said, we need 12 routines. They got to all be different. We got to come up with a sequence week to week to week. Let's keep them confused. So confused. And Billy Idol used to call me Muscle Confucius because I was always, all right, Billy, we're doing this today. Hey, we're adding this today. We're going to hit the heavy bag today. Oh, today's all cardio. It's like, oh my God, and where's the routine? And he got shredded and ripped just like the rest of the people that stuck with what I told him to do. And we basically recreated a version of that in your living room without a bunch of equipment like all my clients had. Some dumbbells, some bands, and a pull-up bar and a mat, go. You know what I mean? And which is the way I trained. I mean, I have the attention of a gnat on crack. So I'm always bouncing around. I always want to try new things, do new stuff. I like being awful. I like failing. I like falling down because I know if I'm struggling that hard at something fresh and new, then of course my body, eventually, if I stick with it, my body has to adapt. That's all the P90X was. That also confusion.
That's why everyone hates plyo. Oh, it's the worst.
I know, man. But I mean, I can go skiing at 65, top to bottom on a ski run. Like Jackson Hole, I can start at the top, 4,000 feet. Maybe I'm not going faster than other people, but my cardiovascular endurance is better now than it was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Because I work my legs 3 different ways, 3 times a week. Hello, duh. It's fun. It's fun to be older and better, which is not the case for most people. Anyway, that's the long version of the story. And then we did P90X2 and then P90X3 and then 22-minute hardcore. And then my time was up over there with Beachbody, sadly. I mean, it was not the best of feeling between them and me. But whatever, they wanted to go a different way with different people doing different things. And I disagreed with any and all of it. And I left.
But your videos are still up on Beachbody's website.
Still are. Yeah, because they make money.
Right.
They make money from the stuff that I created. Sure. So they get to do that. And I still get royalty checks from them. You know what I mean?
That's a beautiful thing.
So
let me ask you something. So it's almost impossible to remember what life was like when you and I were younger before the internet. Like now with YouTube channels and social media out there and the internet, at that time, how did you go about marketing them and building popularity? Like how would you market, P90X? Was it just an infomercial?
Everything was infomercial.
It was
everything was, this is because the internet was starting to kick in there early on about, great body guaranteed, power 90, no internet, no phones, none of that. Like the people had phones with cords in their car, like people with, Bentleys and stuff. You know what I mean? I remember when I first started making some money, I had a car phone. I don't know if you remember that had a wire, like a regular phone. Yeah. It looked like this.
Do you remember they were like, I don't know what it was. It was like 50 cents a minute or something.
Yeah.
I had an Acura Integra and I had like a hump and the phone was on the hump. And think about like you'd pick up the phone, you'd still be driving and you'd have to punch it in. It was like in Chicago, I think it was Cellular One. And I would call a friend. I'm like, look, I got 30 seconds. This thing's expensive. And he'd say, I'll be over in 10 minutes. Click.
That was, you're literally driving your car, holding the receiver attached to a cord while punching in phone numbers, looking down. I mean, it couldn't have been more dangerous and ridiculous. Now it's like, call Ben. Hey, Ben. Hands on the wheel, nothing's, whatever. I love that part about how things have changed. But, those were the days and they were really fun. And after Beachbody, I've been very lucky. I work for Tonal now and I'm their top guy on there according to the numbers, which is kind of fun. I guess people remember me from the old days and like my Tonal workouts. And the vibe is always the same. Like once P90X kicked in, I could completely be myself. And credit to Carl Deichler. He's the one I remember before P90X, I said, what do you want my energy to be? Like what, how I usually am in person.
Yes.
And Power 90 was a little stiff. Can we have some freedom? And he says, yeah, I'll keep an eye on you. Go be a wild man. Don't be crazy. Then like the first day I was completely off the chain, like, doing comedy bits and they're like, cut that dude, you're going too far. Can you back it off? Most people on camera, you got to pump them up. Right with me, you had to bring me down a little bit. And so, it's not P silly X, it's P90X. There's a seriousness to it. So I found that, after the first day of shooting, I found that place that felt right. The don't smash your face and the, and all the silly things. People come up to me and go, on minute 14:32 seconds, you say fabric or I don't know. Everybody beautiful. Yeah, I say that in course synergistics. Apparently, I don't know. You know what I mean? I had years and years of improv comedy, acting classes, scene study classes, and 2 years of trying to be a stand-up. And so, I was comfortable in my own skin in front of a camera. A camera is like just, a lot of people look at this thing and they flip out. It's sort of strange because it's an inanimate object. It's not going to punch you or yell at you. It's just this thing that you get to talk to. You know what I mean? And that there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of people on the other end. And you don't know if what you're saying is going to resonate with everybody. A lot of people think I'm too goofy and too silly. Fine, I'm going to go do somebody else's thing. I don't care. But just enough people bought in, like yourself and others, because they knew the thing was a son of a bitch. And they knew that, 90 days and eating right, something's got to happen. Right. And I can do this in my house and in my underwear and a top hat. Sure. Let's go.
What's interesting is I believe for me, that's what engaged me was your humor. And you became authentic on the screen. And I feel a lot of people that have done your programs, because there's tens of thousands of workout videos out there, and even with Beachbody, there's hundreds that you could download or at the time buy the CDs.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to feel that your personality, that's what separated you from a lot of these other trainers. It was the same thing with some of the other trainers on Beachbody, like Shaun T, and they had a real personality, and I think people gravitate to that. It's interesting. I loved the recipes. We still make at home the white bean chicken soup. That is one of the best recipes.
So good, dude.
It's so good. It's so good. How did you create those? And were there your recipes? Did you tap into someone? How did that come about, your recipes in your program?
Oh, I had nothing to do with any of that. I got to taste them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We brought in people, we brought in dietitians, we brought in experts, we brought in chefs. You know what I mean? We had a team of people that came up with, and I was in on those meetings about how I think people should try to eat, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats. Let's take those types of food, whole foods, and make some recipes that don't taste like wax, and that was it. Yeah, that's not my area of expertise. Like everything that I've done since Beachbody, there's other people. My wife is a phenomenal cook. She's got, she's just amazing. She can turn a paper clip, a pencil, and a Post-it note into a 4-course meal. I don't know how, but she can do it. I'll look in a pantry in the fridge and go, nothing to eat. And then I'll sit down like an hour later to, where'd all this food come from? Came from the pantry and in the fridge. It's in there. Oh, shoot. You know what I mean? So she's a big contributor to all the stuff that I do now. She wrote a 300-page diet book that covers veganism, vegetarianism, keto, paleo, pescatarian. You know what I mean? She's my wife's a bit of a freak. She's a savant on just creating things and doing that recipe stuff. But back in the old days, that wasn't me. I was just I came up with the moves. I came up with the sequence of the moves. I came up with the names of things. You know what I mean? Bent over tricep extensions. Right. Let's just call it Gewürztraminer curls. You know what I mean? Can we just make it more interesting and not make it so dry, like Congdon curls and whatever others.
And Pfeiffer scissors.
Pfeiffer scissors.
Do you still keep in touch with some of those people?
Pfeiffer is here 4 days a week when he's in town.
What about Drea Weber?
Drea is she's in Vegas a lot with Magic Mike choreography. She works with Pink and Cher and other stuff. So she's on the road a lot. But whenever she's in town, she's here working out with me, or she's in one of my videos. And I don't see Joe Bavino as much. I don't see Moraine. Moraine was sort of she was in the test group. Phil Malton, don't get out of my face. Phil Malton, I still see him. He's still a good friend. I would say about a fourth of the cast members are still in my life. Yeah.
So do you ever see Pam the Blam or Daniel?
I don't see Pam the Blam. She's got her own kind of fitness world. She's doing her own thing right now. Okay. I wanted her to be in one of my videos, but she was too busy doing her thing, So when you're creating new workouts, Tony, and new videos, are you targeting a certain kind of person in your head that you're training? How does that work for you when you're creating new content and videos for the public? What's the plan? Are you saying, okay, it's the overweight person? Is it the person that's 50 years older, male, and he's looking for this? How does that work for you? Just about everything works for just about everybody. It all depends on what your approach is. What is the weight you're using? How many reps are you doing? How much your range of motion? What's your athleticism or lack thereof? You know what I mean? So my gift was early on, partially because I didn't get this gift from anybody else, is cueing stuff. All right. Hey, everybody. Tony Horton here. We're going to do push-ups. Now, if you look to my left, you got Jimmy over here. He's going through the roof. He's going super deep. His hands are tight. His legs are straight. His eyes are forward. He's going to breathe and smile throughout this entire thing. If you want to go for it and you're athletic and it's not, a new day for you, then keep an eye on him. Now, behind me, we got Sally. She's going to go a little less deep, a few less reps. Keep an eye on her. All right. So there's that. Like maybe you're in your 50s and you're a mom. You got 3 kids and it's not your file up. Then you got Tommy over here, super modifier. He's going to really back it off. If you're in this room, I don't care between 5 and 505, you got a version, figure out which one yours is. Just show up on a daily basis. Do your best. Forget the rest. Let's start this thing. Let's go. Repeat. So as a trainer, my job is to deal with the camera. The cast members, if aren't any cast members, are like on tonal. It's just me. It's cueing the living hell out of it so that if your eyes are on the floor or you're doing something where you can't see me the entire time, my words should walk you through it if I'm doing my job properly. With cast members, it's easy. I'll say, hey, look, you know what the deal is. You guys rehearsed a bunch of times. If what you're doing isn't exactly right, then that's perfect for the audience because that's probably happening with them. All right. So I can say, hey, Tom, get your chin up a little bit. You're getting tired. I understand it's getting harder. Maybe folks at home, you're having that same experience. Don't beat yourself up. Don't judge it. Just be here and be glad that you're doing something. Right. And so my target audience, except for if there's a thing that I did for Beachbody that was for parents and kids, that was a different thing. I mean, I knew what my audience was, but my demographics are anywhere from 15 to 80. That's where, and all those, like last night, I'm on a Zoom call with about 70 people. It was a 5-hour session with them. And this woman who was 71, her husband 72, are starting P90X for the first time. You know what I mean? And I go, what day are you on? She goes, oh my God, we're on day 20. She goes, it's really hard. We can't do everything, but we like that we have all those options. So, they're in their 70s, dude, and they're getting after it on P90X. I go, oh, wow. So I guess I did something right for them and for millions of others too.
So when early in your career, did you have big goals for professional and financial success? Anything? No,
dude. No. I heard later after I became successful that everybody would say, dude, we thought you were a goner. We just thought you were going to be the van down by the river. You know what I mean? Because I was a screw up, I was a total screw up. I wouldn't say I was a real party guy, but man, yeah, I'd be out late. I go to clubs and dance and smoke weed and drink beer and, eat chimichangas at 3 a.m. after being out all night. I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't think I thought I was going to be an actor. I thought, but I wasn't really putting the time and energy into acting to be successful at it. You know what I mean? Like really I did Ivor Francis's class and Daryl Hickman's classes. These are for like 2 years and 2 years. Brian Reese's scene study class, driving all over town with my comedy bit, doing 3 and 5 minute spots. I mean, paying my dues. But, the time frame in which I wanted to be successful was too short. I'm going to do this for 6 months. No, 6 months ain't enough. You need to, And I wasn't learning the lessons I think I needed to learn. I wasn't making dramatic change. I kept on trying to stick the round peg in the square hole too many times. I'll show them. They don't know how, right? But I wasn't listening necessarily. But I was still, subconsciously learning things and making changes slowly. And then the fitness thing was a side thing. Like, okay, Tom Petty, Billy Idol, Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, side thing. And then I just met Carl at the right time. I did a nice thing for a guy I didn't like. He introduced me to a guy who put me to work. And, even after Power 90, when I moved into the house, nobody really knew who I was. Nobody was recognizing me from that, except when I was in the Santa Monica Nature Pharmacy on Broadway. And some girl walks in after having done Power 90, and she starts twirling around in the middle of the pharmacy in front of everybody. Oh my God, Tony Horton, you changed my life. I never had that experience before. And I'm sick as a dog, just waiting for my meds, with a flu or something. And I don't even think we had phones yet to take a picture together. It was really, whoa. And I would tell her, like, this girl recognized me from Power 90. And then, and then after a while, whatever, it got crazy there for a bit. After, more and more people were doing Power 90, and more people were doing P90X, X2, X3, and yada yada yada. It was a new lesson for me. Like fame, there's no, okay, your plan is to be famous. Here's the class that you go to. Here's how you're supposed to behave. But based on how I was raised, you treat everybody like your sister, like your mother, like your father. You take every selfie, you sign every autograph, and you're kind to people, and you're thankful, because without them, you'd live in a van down by the river. They're the ones that are paying your bills. They're the ones that are helping you buy that Mercedes Benz. So I don't understand people who are famous and they turn into jagoffs. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were probably jagoffs before they were rich and famous. Who knows?
I couldn't agree more. I love the Chinese proverb, like, may you find what you're looking for, and it could be kind of a curse. Do you ever experience, how do you had such a big jump to your success based on your story. How did you deal with that huge jump? Because all of a sudden it's like you were saying, you weren't making a lot of money. All of a sudden you have this tremendous success quickly. You're being well known out there. You're training rock stars. It keeps growing and growing. Did you ever make any big financial mistakes early on?
Oh God. Yeah, man.
Is that a sore subject?
Oh, no. Just growing pains. You know what I mean? Completely broke, 60 grand in debt, broken down cars, same nasty carpet from day one to year 21 in that little 2-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica with a view of a convalescent home in the back down in the alley. And then there was a gal who lived next door, was in a studio. She moved out, and I talked to the landlord, and I said, I was starting to do pretty well with just clients. I wasn't, maybe I was going to Minneapolis to do Nordic Trek at that point. And I turned my 2-bedroom into a 3-bedroom. So one of the bedrooms became my office. The other bedroom became a bedroom. And the third room became the same room that I trained Shirley MacLaine and other celebrities in that little third tiny bedroom. That's where I used to train Ben, the guy that introduced me to Carl. But broke because I was, pissing money away. I didn't know what to do. Money came in, I paid my bills, and I spent the rest of it. I didn't put anything in savings. I didn't have a financial advisor. And then Power 90, struck, and I had a financial advisor that was an idiot. He had claimed, bankruptcy twice himself. I didn't know that until my friend Ben did a background check on the guy, and he goes, dude, this guy's, he's not a fiduciary. He's taken, 2.7% off the top and blah, blah, blah. Get out of there. So then I got a real financial advisor. At that point, I'd pissed away tens of thousands of dollars, I used to go to Prada and Neiman Marcus and, how much is this shirt? $550. I'll take 6 of them. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just like whatever. Oh, Mercedes, let me get every beep and whistle and thing and whatever. You know what I mean? You're paying $140K for a car, stupid stuff like that. And, whatever, when I got all caught up in the ego of it, and I just thought that money was going to roll in forever and ever and ever. And of course, nothing does, and a lot of people make that mistake, MC Hammer, others. You know what I mean? Who I pulled an MC Hammer. Snipes. What's the other one? Almost went to jail for his. I paid my taxes, but I wrote off everything. Everything. Not everything was something I could write off. So I had 83 grand in back taxes here, 90 grand in back taxes there. Whatever, just stupid stuff. Where I had this like a lot of money in the bank account. I had a bunch of stuff I didn't need, and I was writing everything off. Whatever. And so finally I got an adult in the room, and, I would come up and I go, Ferrari? And they'd go, no. And I'd go, okay. The kind of
sometimes you need that in your life.
You do. And then I don't even like my car right now is 8 years old.
You're
I don't care anymore about
in California still, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, with the weather here, it's a lot of people out here have cars for a long time.
Yeah. The thing looks new after you wash it and wax it.
It's not like where I'm from, Chicago, where there's potholes and salt.
Oh no, potholes, and then this all the sand and the grime and all the rust underneath. Different.
So I wanted to know. I am in commercial real estate. I own commercial real estate around the country with Alliance Consolidated, my company, and I was wondering, did you ever consider, or do you have any bricks and mortar for gyms? Did you ever have the concept where you're like, you know what, this P90, P90X thing is kind of rolling. Maybe I could open up some gyms and take this all over the place. Never a thought. Like You said, okay, we don't want to be like McDonald's and get in the real estate business. You just shook your head
way,
like,
no way. Managers, assistant managers, maintenance, cleaning, mortgages, insurance, you know what I mean? Like Jack LaLanne did it, and it was the bane of his existence, man. You know what I mean? Like if that's your world and you grew up in that world and you want to have your name on the wall outside so people can come in and pee on the floor in your bathroom, you go for it, man. I'm not interested in that at all. You know what I mean? Everything here is very compact. I can control everything. Our Power Nation Power of 4 generates, we have about 8 employees that all work remotely. You know what I mean? I haven't met 7 of my 8 employees. Never met them because they don't live in California. They live all over the place, right? But they do what they need to do, and they're really good. I mean, I haven't even met them on Zoom. My wife, Shauna, who did that? What's his name? It's just easier that way. They're working right there in their underwear in their house, and they're getting the job done, and it's fine. And then I shoot all my workouts here at my house. We got this brand new one coming out called Power Sync 60, and it's basically for women based on their hormonal fluctuations in their periods and things. And so I'm working with Dr. Mindy Pels, who's brilliant. She got a PhD and done tons of studies and her own research that shows that women should not do the same stuff as guys. You know what I mean? Unless they're like, Marines or they have super high testosterone levels or something. Women are just very, very different than men. And their plumbing is different. Their hormonal changes are different. Their estrogen and testosterone levels are different. What do we have? We have testosterone and a little bit of estrogen, and they got 18 other things they got to deal with. So we have 2 test groups that have been through this program, and these women are like weeping, going, this is the first time something's worked, because we've created a sequence of exercises. So there's 11 routines. The dudes got their routines. This is what you're going to do for 60 days. Women, yours are you got 3 different calendars based on who you are, how old you are, pre-menopause, post, peri, right? You're going to do moon cycles. It's just, and this is fairly new research, and no one else is doing this. Eventually they'll try to rip me off, I guess. I don't know. Somebody will figure it out. But just like with P90X is, no one's tried to duplicate it yet. They did early on, but then they realized, the trainer matters.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can have your version of muscle confusion, but if your trainer sucks, then how are you inspired by an elliptical sitting in the corner of your gym? Are you inspired by your treadmill? Does your treadmill get you? Oh, I cannot wait to go and get on that, and just get on that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Unless you got a tribe that's like all getting together to do, something together, or you need somebody on your TV or on your phone or on your laptop or on your desktop who's, come on, man, let's go. Let's do it. Don't smash your face. Let's have some fun. Do some push-ups. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, it helps that I, did stand up, and it helps that I was an actor. That's, any trainer that has all that, right? I want to do a course one day. Eventually, I'm slowly putting it together. Is how can you be your best trainer? How can you be this more successful? It's your persona, man. It's you can have 15 certifications, but if you're as dull as a rock, you'll be good for some of the people some of the time. But
it's so true. I train with a trainer 5 days a week right now here in California, and he's got a lot of energy and personality, and I love, he doesn't know how to count, because when we're at 10 reps and you think you got 5 more, all of a sudden you got another 5, and he does that on purpose. But that's what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do that to a client where it's like, you think you got like 3 or 4 left, and it's like, maybe you're doing like hack squats, and you're like, holy shit, I'm 53 years old. Should I really be lifting this much? And then all of a sudden he's like, 5 more. But that's what you need.
Well, if he's a good trainer, he's reading the room.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you're going 5 more for every client that you have, when only maybe 20% of those can actually manage those 5 without blowing out a knee or screwing up the back or something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the problem with a lot of trainers. Like a lot of drill sergeant types aren't paying attention to what's happening, and they just have this rote thing that they say because that's what they say to everybody. That's like a drill sergeant. He's sitting there in front of all his, his platoon. Everybody's the same, but everybody's not really the same. You know what I mean? But he gives them the same message. So some of them are killing it. Some of them are dying. You know what I mean? And whatever. But that's not, you're paying a trainer to come to your house. So there's nuance to it. Like today I taught a yoga class
Uh-huh.
and I know I'm in the front. We're all facing the same direction, but I know who's in the room and I know who can do what.
Mhm.
So I would say, hey, Vache, on this one, boom. Hey, Steven, you might want to skip this one. Shauna, be careful of your knee because of you had the ACL replaced, whatever. So, like I can cue the routine, but I also have the other individuals in mind so that they get the most out of the routine. So they don't get so jacked up that they can't do it next time or they're hurt for 3 to 6 weeks. That's
Do you know
the
what
idea is to find the edge of the envelope and not get hurt.
do you know
That's my job.
is? Do you know what the best warm up is?
What's that?
It's the world's greatest stretch is I still do it today. It is the best way. Like obviously you warm up, you walk on a treadmill, get your body going.
Yeah.
That stretch is to me the best way to loosen up. I love it. I still do it. As I get older, Tony, I'm losing my balance a little bit, so it gets a little tougher. So you got to throw it in the yoga block, but it's amazing. So that was.
I do too, dude. I mean, I got sick 6 years ago. Got Ramsey Hunt syndrome. Blew out all the nerves in my ear.
I remember.
And I like today in my yoga, my crescent pose. I was like the weeping willow. I could judge it and be all sad and bummed out about it, but it is what it is. What do I do with what I got? And so. Couple of breaths, try to settle in, get lower in my lunge, and the storm kind of settled a little bit. Normally I would get right into that move,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why yoga's the most important thing you do all week. If you don't have a regular yoga practice, you're going to become more vulnerable doing the stuff that you already do. You're going to become less durable in general. Right? Your mobility is going to get shorter and shorter, and your flexibility is going to get shorter and shorter. Go watch quarterback and go watch what Mahomes is doing throughout the week. I mean, his mobility and his flexibility, it's the reason why he can run one way, twist in the air, turn his body, and throw the football like a bullet in the opposite direction. It's because of the way he trains. You know what I mean? A lot of people are lifting weights and doing cardio, and lifting weights and doing cardio, and lifting weight like it's 1979. Like, speed, balance, range of motion. Don't forget these three, but they get ignored all the time. And if they get ignored, you're training hard and you're doing everything right and you're eating really good. But then you reach in the shower for your shampoo on the shelf and you blow out your neck. You know what I mean? Because you didn't do your yoga. You didn't work on your mobility and you didn't work on your flexibility, right? Mobility is that range of motion while you're doing something. Flexibility is that thing that you do, right? So that you can be more mobile.
That's right.
There's flexibility is usually there's ballistic stretching, there's static stretching. Yoga is a static kind of a stretch. It's also a lot of resistance. Yoga, balance, range of motion, strength, and mindfulness on a mat in your bare feet, in your underwear. I mean, no excuses, right? I mean, the workout we did today, soaking wet when we were done with yoga.
Well, let's talk about that. What are some of your favorite workouts today, and what does your daily fitness routine look like?
Monday nights, 5:30, anywhere from 2 to 6 people show up, and we do a 9-station cardio routine, 2 rounds, usually comes in a little over an hour. It starts, every station is numbered, and everybody, if there's a bunch of us in there, if there's 9 of us in there, it's a little complicated because we're all trying to move. Mm-hmm. So there's a stationary bike, endless rope. You know what the endless rope is? Wham, 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 wham. Yep. Pretty cool. Endless rope to the VersaClimber, which is brutal. I always change the order.
I'm not a fan of the VersaClimber.
VersaClimber is a bear. It's hard. It's a bitch, but that's why you do it.
I know.
Oh, you know what I mean? Or you just have just an elliptical in the house.
How many seconds do you do the VersaClimber?
I do the VersaClimber for 3 minutes straight.
Wow.
Bike 3 minutes straight, rope 3 minutes straight, VersaClimber 3 minutes straight, heavy bag 3 minutes straight, treadmill 3 minutes straight, rowing machine 3 minutes straight, jump rope 3 minutes straight, ski machine 3 minutes straight, slide board 3 minutes straight, back on the bike, round and round we go again. Yeah. And we literally get off one and get on the other because we want to keep our heart rate up, right? It's not HIIT training where it's like, and then a big old break in between. Yeah. We get off and get on. We get off and we get on. And there's big numbers this big next to every one. So, you know what I mean? Like, heavy bag. Slide board. Jump rope. And what I try to do sequentially is some of the cardio moves require your arms and your legs. Rowing machine, arms and legs. Jump rope, arms and legs. VersaClimber, arms and legs, right? Heavy bag, just arms. Endless rope, just arms. Bike, just legs. Treadmill, just legs. Ski machine, just legs. Slide board, just legs. Right. And so I alternate between, I try not, like the endless rope and the vertical climber next to each other is just cruelty, but whatever. I try to go upper body, lower body, and I have just the right amount of machines that makes that work. That's Monday. Tuesday right now is shoulders and arms. So military presses and flies. And I use dumbbells, I use bands, and I use the tonal, and I use gravity. A lot of pike presses. Your feet are up on a big, tall plyo box, and you're doing pike presses, right? So it's like handstand push-up preps. And we usually do anywhere between 24 and 32 total sets. Boom. Wednesday is plyo. I invite 5,719 people to my house. Mild exaggeration. But I'll invite 40, and 40 don't always come, but I'll get at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Do you still do rockstar hops?
No, I don't do rockstar hops anymore.
Hurt my knees. I always wanted to call you and be like, dude, can we take this out of the program? It's just
P90X. There's probably 8 moves in P90X I take right out. Dive bomber push-ups.
Oh my God.
Gone. Rockstar hops. Gone. I can't remember what it was called in Aber X. Probably one of those. Gone. You know what I mean? Whatever. We knew at the time, but a lot of that stuff, 80% of people do and 20% get hurt.
You know what my problem was? Is I was doing it on a wood floor, your programs. And it sucked. But the mats were.
People do it on cement, man. I don't like, hello.
That's crazy.
You better get some pretty groovy shoes, or you better put down a mat or some thick carpet with padding underneath it.
So let's talk about your nutrition, because with your workouts, like I believe, aren't you on a plant-based diet only right now?
I'm plant-based. I'm 97.4% plant-based now.
So what's your go-to meal? What does Shauna cook? How does this work for you?
I have meals delivered to my house, vegan, plant-based meals delivered to the house. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I only 6 or 9 come at a time. And then I just, I only eat 1 or 2 meals a day, 1 or 2. And I only eat when I'm hungry. So I could be eating, it's all about what am I doing exercise-wise, and what I'm doing exercise-wise. Like, again, plyo on Wednesday nights, chest and back on Thursdays. Today's Friday. We did yoga. Tomorrow I take off, or I go for a run. And then Sunday is my 3.5-hour ninja fest in the backyard. 20-foot ropes, pegboards, ninja course. You know what I mean? Big breaks in between. It's like you're at a meet where, one guy's going at a time, or maybe 2 are going at a time. Everybody else is like, yeah, you're doing it, killing it, right? And then it's your turn. Prep. It's not like yoga, which is constant. It's not like the cardio, which is constant. It's not like the plyo, which is there are, 30 reps of death, and then next one. You know what I mean? That's more like interval training, more like my HIIT training. So my diet is different depending on how hungry I am or what I did, but I always start with a little pre-workout formula. You know what I mean? I have my pre-workout stuff. I might, if it's a resistance day, I put some creatine in there. Sometimes it's just a piece of sprouted 500 grain bread with some almond butter, fold it in half, boom, wait 20 minutes and go to work. You know what I mean? And then I'm kind of in a semi-fasting guy. I won't eat real food till like 11 or noon. So that helps keep everything nice and lean. You know what I mean? And then I'll eat, whatever, a sweet potato with brown rice and vegetables in a salad. I'll have, like little vegan sausages. I don't, no wheat, no soy, no corn, no dairy, all that mostly out. But corn makes its way in. Soy makes its way in. Gluten makes its way in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like scientific about it. I don't have celiac. I don't have major bloating or gas. I grew up on Lucky Charms, burnt toast, and chocolate cake, right? So my body can handle anything. But I just want to eat the cleanest, healthiest, single ingredient stuff I can eat. Salads with everything under the sun in there, with a lot of avocado and pumpkin seeds and whatever. And then when I travel, that's my little. I'll have some elk, some medium rare elk medallions. Wham, you slice 4 of that thing. It's like, you slice it and it's all freaking medium rare. Or I'll have a piece of fish, or I'll have, wild salmon or something. You know what I mean? Or something like, I'm on the road. We drove all the way to Jackson Hole from LA, 2-day trip. We stopped by in Cedar City, Utah. And there's this pizza place there that is ridiculous. ridiculous. I forget the name of it. And they make a beautiful gluten-free crust, all vegan with vegan cheese pizza.
Wow.
Fire roasted. Wow. Right. Just slice. I can't eat it fast enough. And then as far as beverages, no alcohol ever. Zero. No.
What about Shakeology? Like, did you
That's a Beachbody thing.
No.
I couldn't do the maca. The maca in Shakeology gave me head bumps. Rashes. Didn't do it. The thing about Shakeology, it's infinitely better than what most people are putting in their mouth. But there's a lot of ingredients in there that I don't think people react to well or need. Right? Like it's the kitchen sink. Blam. You know what I mean? I have a product called Foundation 4. It's magnesium, it's fiber, it's prebiotics, it's probiotics, and it's 2 servings of vegetables. That's it. 1 scoop, digestive health, gut health. That's what that's for. That product saved my life when I was coming out of my illness 6 years ago. I mean, it was just
let's talk about your illness, because you went through a lot and you're incredible. I mean, you're in incredible shape. I remember doing P90X. You were about 50 years old and just ripped.
P90X, I was 46. Yeah.
46. Okay. So it was close. And so all of a sudden you have Ramsey Hunt syndrome. What was that like? You're in such great shape. And then all of a sudden something sets you back and it just cripples you. How did you deal with the darkness? How did you deal with your mindset going through this? Because you went through so many years, you're in shape, you're growing in popularity, you're wildly successful. What does that say? Full catastrophic living.
Correct.
So
full catastrophe living.
Full catastrophe. So let's explain. How did you deal with it?
Well, look, it's stress, man. If you've had chicken pox, they're in there. It's in there it sits at the base of your spine. And then when you're not dealing with things properly, or the world becomes overwhelming and you get past 50, you're going to get shingle. Justin Bieber, whatever he is, he's 30 something and he got it, which is strange. So, there's a lot of places you can get shingles. You can get it on your neck, you can get it behind your ear, you can get it in your forehead, you get it on your face, you can get it in your torso. You know what I mean? It's called herpes zoster, but it's just the chickenpox virus raising its ugly head because there's something happening in your life you're not dealing with very well. And so it was sort of a perfect storm of the last days of Beachbody, realizing that, I went in and had a meeting and I walked out of the meeting and I turned to my wife and I go, I'm done with this company. Like, I cannot believe what I just heard after 20 years of service and helping that company make billions of dollars through what I was doing. And I just felt mistreated and I was angry. I was an angry dude, man. And that was like it. Like, I was in a constant state of F you, man. I can't believe it, and whatever. They needed to do what they needed to do based on what they think they needed at the time. And there's a lot of people within the organization that disagreed with the decision. Let's put it that way. And I was one of them. And so I couldn't believe it. Like, I was a nobody. This company, this organization made me a somebody. My stuff was still doing really well, still selling. I was planning on working there another 10 more years and then me retiring. But it came to a screeching halt because they didn't want to pay me anymore based on what I thought I needed. Mm-hmm. And then the Vegas shooting happened right around that time. Yeah. And I had friends that were there. They weren't hit or killed, but people were dying around them. I just thought, like, what planet am I on? This is insane. And then Tom Petty dies like the next day. Guy I've been training for 32 years. And I just remember being extremely uptight for many, many days on end with all of it. I just, didn't deal with it well. I didn't have a mindfulness practice. I didn't have any meditation. I didn't know how to, kind of deal with it. There's too much going on at once for me. And then I woke up with a weird ringing in my ear and pain in my ear. And I go, what in the world is this? And then didn't notice because the rash was occurring in the ear canal. Mm-hmm. And then unbeknownst to me, if I had caught it right away, I could have got the medication to sort of slow things down. But, I thought I had a stroke because I couldn't walk really well. And all of a sudden the rash started to appear on the outside in places where like, there's something going on. You got this horrible rash in your ear. And I go, why am I getting a rash in my ear? 2 weeks in, I go to the hospital because I'm vomiting because I'm so nauseous. And then they're looking at me like they didn't know what I have. So the doc in there started Googling my symptoms. And Like imagine you're in the ER and he's on his little laptop going, "Oh, you have something called Ramsey Hunt syndrome. We have to get you on meds now." But it was too late. All the nerves were fried at that point. Mm-hmm. My vision was messed up. My sense of smell, everything smelled like secondhand smoke all the time. That's all I could smell. Couldn't taste food. Food was like eating this. Everything I ate tasted like paper. And then a tinnitus on a scale of 1 to 10 that was a 50. Like I could hear 2 different rings going on at once all the time. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, my brain was the balance part of my brain. It wasn't vertigo. I thought it was vertigo initially. Like vertigo is this, right? When the room is spinning. It wasn't that. It was more like a Parkinson's inside of my head. So when I would turn my head, if I turned my head too fast, so I'd have to walk around like that. Week after week after week after month after month after month. And all the king's horses and all the king's men, all the otorhinolaryngologists, all the physical therapists, and then I ended up with Bell's palsy. I was like just, my face was melting, and not good for on-camera stuff. You know what I mean? And I mean, my world was coming apart. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. Everything came to a stop. And I would just sleep all day, and I would drink out of a straw, and I would vomit all day. Just like think about just wrenching all the time, all day. And no energy, like walking was Mount Everest, you know. There was no exercise, none, no driving, just sadness and depression.
How long did that go on for?
The first 3 months were hell. Uh-huh. And then that much at a time per week, it would improve. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of a year, I could go I had a gig in Vegas, a speaking gig, because I needed the money, you know what I mean? And I will say that I got a lot of support from Beachbody. I mean, even though I felt like they caused it, you know what I mean? Like they didn't cause it. They just did what they needed to do because they didn't want to pay me anymore the way I felt I needed to be paid. But, you know, Carl stepped up, and he had an expert at the local hospital here that was like my personal guy that kind of helped me get through it. It was, a nice gesture. Maybe they felt guilty. Who the hell knows? So that was helpful, but there was nothing I could do. It was just one of those things where one of the doctors I saw, and I saw a lot of them, man, they said, "Hey man, this is just, a lot of people don't fully recover from this. It's kind of a permanent thing because it's nerves, and nerves will heal when they're good and ready, and no one knows. We know how long skin heals. We know how long bones heal. We know how long tendons and ligaments and other aspect and organs heal. We don't know about nerves, man. Nerves are weird. And so if that's here's the bones, skin, organs, here's nerves out here somewhere. And so now I have balances. So I still have something called, the after effect is bilateral vestibular hypofunction, which is I can turn my head now. I can pull up to a stop sign and look around and go, but I can't stand on one foot very well anymore. You know, slack lines are virtually impossible for me now. I used to be able to walk up and down a slack line, but on 2 feet, I'm pretty normal, even if I'm not great. Like when we were in Europe, my wife and I walking through Paris, walking through Rome, walking through London, like navigating the people and the noise and the cars and it feels like this. Mm-hmm. Even though when you look at me, I would say to my wife, "Am I walking in a straight line?" She goes, "It looks normal." I go, "Why is it so freaking hard though?" Whatever. You go to the gym, you work out, you eat right. You know.
You ever consider stem cells?
No.
I had it done. I'll tell you, it's heaven. It's heaven. I don't wear glasses anymore. Feeling great. Solves a lot of things. Definitely open your eyes to it if we can talk about it. But let's talk about your skincare. You brought it up, and what makes the TH Care line unique? I mean, I saw that you're selling a number of hair and skin products now. What makes that line so unique, Tony?
Well, it's the pH balance of the ingredients, so it doesn't react to your skin. You know what I mean? It's TH Care is a little side project that started a long time. We don't do any media for it. The only reason, it's a word of mouth product. There's probably about 150 people on auto ship for like the last 10 years. They're just madly in love with it. You know, it's natural. It's not tested on animals. Not that you can eat it, but you almost can based on what it's, it's soap, a lot of it. But there's the face lotion, the body lotion. There's the face wash. It's just a really simple, clean, pH balanced product. And so, I mean, and the hair and body wash is nice because it's just one thing. The hair, the shampoo and the body wash are all one thing in a bottle. Yeah. So I don't make any really money on it because we don't do any media for it. And the people who manufacture it are really proud of it. And they think it's one of their best products, but they don't, the manufacturer, who's a friend of mine, they make like 10 other brands. And I go, just focus on your stuff. And if people buy my thing, great. My energy is on the supplement line. That's where most of my energy is, and on Tonal and on Power Nation. That's the three. But I was just at IDEA Health and Wellness Conference, and I made some really great relationships. And so I might be working with some other folks as a representative, as an on-camera representative for other people. But, those three things, Tonal, the supplements, Power Nation, keep me very busy, man.
What kind of supplements do you take on a daily basis?
Oh my God. I mean, I take my protein powder that I created for myself so I could get some weight back on after Ramsey Hunt. Mm-hmm. It's got HMB and vitamin D3, quality plant-based and whey-based. Our whey comes from Irish cows, only from Irish cows, from these fields that are untouched up there. Whatever. We try to make stuff really good. And then I have my Foundation 4, which is sort of that ingredient specific version of Shakeology that, I feel is sort of I'm not shaking Shakeology. I mean, I'm not dissing it. A lot of people, they get great value from it. They love it. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of people who have issues digesting it, or it's too many ingredients, which is, a decent amount of people, I'm one of them. Foundation 4 is really, really important. We also have a product called Endurance with astaxanthin in it. And astaxanthin is just for a little bit more energy, a little bit quicker recovery. It's made from this algae out of Hawaii. The process is pretty complicated, but I was taking it separately, but we added a little something to it that most astaxanthin doesn't have. It's a recovery component that's in there that improves recovery a little bit. If you're going to break things down, you got to figure out ways to fix it. And a nap and a decent night's sleep isn't always going to work, especially if you're getting older and you're pushing the envelope a little bit, right? So, and then I take, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, CoQ10, ginkgo biloba, and I take a multi if I'm really pushing it. Without the supplements, I don't have the giddy up, and I don't have I'm not recovering fast enough. My vegan diet is helping me keep the inflammation down in general. Mm-hmm. Like when I went vegan, I don't get PRP and Synvisc injected in my knees anymore. I don't have knee problems anymore because I'm mostly vegan. Like, I don't know, inflammation goes everywhere. You know what I mean? So you're trying to get it out. I cleaned up my leaky gut, and the Foundation 4 was part of that process. Also, the no wheat, no soy, no corn, no dairy in general, except for when it sneaks in unbeknownst to me. Just keeping the bad stuff at a minimum, single ingredient meals, healthy plant-based meals. And with the supplements, it all seems to be working at 65 years old.
I can't believe you're 65. That's amazing. So in 2014, you had this great book, The Big Picture, 11 Laws That Will Change Your Life. Mm-hmm. Let's fast forward now. Okay. Now that you're 65, and if you redid sections of that book, and especially for young entrepreneurs and businessmen and women out there listening, and all these great lessons, what kind of lesson would you offer people now? Like, what has changed, and what are some of the lessons you can offer people saying, these are the things you learn? Like, obviously persistence and drive, don't give up, stay focused and disciplined. But what are some big lessons you could share with some of the youth out there?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. Last night I did a 5-hour seminar.
Wow.
For people that paid, whatever, I think it was $98 or something for the thing. And that they get to keep it. And that seminar consisted of almost everything in the big picture, and then a bunch of other things that I've learned since, a lot more about your mindfulness practice and how important that is. Like, for example, with the Power of 4 on our Power Nation website, If you're curious, go to powernationfitness.com and look at it. Everything I ever did with Beachbody was about exercise and diet and before and after pictures, right? Mm-hmm. And then, however we could motivate, inspire, and educate people on being consistent with this thing. A lot of people were doing it for all the wrong reasons. The before and after pictures were a great motivator, but on day 90, oops, do I do it again? Do I do it again? Do I do Insanity? Do I do Body Beast? Do I join the gym? Am I a CrossFit athlete now? Right? You know what I mean? And then there were days when people were struggling, and if they missed 3 or 4 days because of illness or injury or lack of time, they were freaked out about where to jump back in. You know what I mean? Like, do I have to do 2 a days and now to can't? No, man, you missed those 4 workouts. Those 4 workouts are gone. Just jump back in on the day that you would as if you weren't sick or if you weren't injured, if you weren't traveling. You'll be fine. This is a lifetime thing. It's not a 90-day thing. And then you take a picture and then you get fat again. I mean, come on. And
I had help Tony with that because after I did P90X, the first time I went back to the gym and I was lost. I was like, where's Tony? Like, I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, to work out on your own. And eventually I got a trainer. And I started that later in Chicago before I moved here. And then now I have a trainer now, obviously. So I've been training with a trainer for probably 15 years. But after I did all your programs, but I'll tell you, it was a real challenge.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different and everybody's journey is different. And, I know people have done P90X 17 times. Like, how can you not get tired of me and my jokes after a while? Like you can, like a lot of people, I just do it I don't even watch you anymore. I turn that, I just do it rote. I do the routine. And every once in a while, if I don't want to do it by myself, through memory, I will turn it on just to see what a clown you are. I go, okay. I go to the airport and go, oh my God, you're like America's fitness clown. Do you mean that in the nicest possible way? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
What do you mean by that?
So like you said, you found a trainer, and so there's your accountability.
Yeah.
And so last night was about intensity. It was about consistency. It was about finding your purpose. It was about, finding your tribe. It was about how the mindfulness practice is the fourth leg to the part of the equation to be successful. Like, how do you turn things off? How do you chill out? How do you get your rest? How do you recover? There was a ton of stuff on, as far as I'm concerned, if you're stressed, if you've got a form of stress management, right? Unlike I had prior to what I was going through, and you were getting a decent night's sleep, and you had the right mattress, and you had the right pillow, and you have the right bamboo sheets, and you turn the television and get your phone out of the damn room. You know what I mean? And you make it whatever. You need a sound machine, great. You need pitch black, figure it out. Get some proper window cover. Like, I got into the weeds. I talk about clutter. Like look at your house. Do you have that drawer in the kitchen where you open it up and you can barely open it and there's more crap in there, like tons and tons of pens and pencils that don't even work, that aren't sharpened, and it's just whatever like that. If you open up your garage and you open it up, you can't even fit your cars in there. Like, what is that? Of course, you're not going to be organized enough to be able to be in physical pain 5 to 7 days a week the rest of your life, because you can't even clean out your damn car. You know what I mean? Like, you got to start. All these things matter, right? And then of course, then you got the clutter in your life of just stuff, and then you got the clutter of your thoughts. Like, you think these things that aren't necessarily true, and you hold on to these thoughts and feelings that are complete backwards and silly and stupid, and they're not serving you because they just make you angry and sad and depressed. But you believe in them because your tribe is filled with a bunch of nutbags that thinks this way, right? Like, and you're going to be fit and healthy for the rest of your life? No. You know what I mean? You got friends that are finger pointers and naysayers and wannabes, and they're negative and they're bitching and whining all the time. That's who you're hanging out with. And you're going to eat super clean and meditate and exercise 5 to 7 days a week. You don't have a chance. Like, right. Those two things are directly linked, right? Clean up the house. Give away a bunch of shirts and jackets and boots and shoes and chairs and broken stools and notes from the 70s. Get rid of it. Clean house. Now looking around the people in your life. Is everybody fired up and excited and motivated and working hard and going to go climb Kilimanjaro next year, or going to go heli ski, but they're going to go are you going to go mountain bike, going to get on the Appian Way outside of Rome where Caesar used to go? Is that your crowd? And if it's not, if they're sitting on their ass and they're watching reruns of of Friends, TikTok, there you are, 6 feet under in a box, and everybody goes, well, he had a lot of potential in high school, but after that, he didn't do shit. You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about your routine. I mean, I meditate 2 to 3 times a day. I'm into my health, and it keeps me balanced. What's your morning routine? Like, you get up and are you meditating right away? What do you do?
I'm, according to the experts, a crisis meditator, which is not ideal, but that works for me. Like, shit's hit the fan. I'm a big believer in box breathing. That's kind of my thing. I don't meditate. I don't try to like sit there and lotus. And then when the thought comes in, I pop it like a balloon. I used to try to do that, and it just made me angry.
Well, I got a good one for you. I had Emily Fletcher on my show. She is really talented. Emily, if you're listening, you absolutely are. And she has a technique called Ziva. And I started doing it. And I'll tell you, it is a game changer, because you can have thoughts come in your head and you do a mantra, and it's 15 minutes. But Tony, I do it in the morning, and I do it right before dinner, and it just cleanses me. And I'm like, all of a sudden, like I'm this superhero. It just really cleans you. So my 3 goes to, I have a Calm app. I have the Calm app on my phone. I do the morning Calm. It's 10 minutes. So I'm just listening to her voice, walking me through it. That's gold. You know what I mean? Or I'll do box breathing. Like if I wake up at 3:00 in the morning, boom, I've got to do my box breathing. I fall right back to sleep. 4x4s, 5x5s, 6x 12x12s. Like, I did a test on what my number should be for box breathing. And because I have pretty ridiculous lung capacity and a resting heart rate of 38, I can do a 12-count inhalation, a 12-count hold, and a 12-count exhalation. Wow. And a 12-count hold. Like that's the one for me. But sometimes if I'm anxious, I could barely do 4. Like, those first 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 turns to 5, turns to 6, turns to more. You're holding your breath underwater a long time, aren't you? If you could do that.
Yeah, you would think so. But I mean, I can do a minute and a half underwater. I don't work on that enough. I was up at Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese's place, holding on to 25-pound dumbbells, staying underwater as long as I can, doing laps in the pool, like just, you know what I mean? Brutal stuff, scary, hard stuff. But it's not my regular practice. I think with more practice, I get better at it. And then body scan just works for me. Like just laying there on my back, on the floor, in my bed, working from the crown of my head all the way down to my feet, all the way back up, using that light, right? If it's something in my shoulder, I just, in with the good, out with the bad, in with the good, out the bad, putting that light beam on, which that takes my mind off the things that are in my mind, right? So that's another way of doing it. And then the Calm app, the box breathing, and the body scan, that seems to work for me. A lot of that came out of this book right here.
Have you gotten into the cold plunging and the infrared sauna?
I've done the cold plunging. We got one coming next week, and it'll be right here, first one on the property.
All right.
So look, I got the Theragun. I've got the infrared sauna. I've got the foam rolling. I've got the compression things for my legs. You know what I mean? I'm very lucky. The thing for me that works is old school. Yoga, stretching, Epsom salt baths, perfect pillow, perfect bed, perfect sheets, no phone, no TV, 8+ hours of sleep. And that seems to work most of the time. Once every couple of months, I'll get injured doing something too hard. I got run into on the ski slope by a guy going mock chicken head on fire. And I had some separated ribs. I fell hard on my shoulder skiing, which dislocated my clavicle tendon.
Oh man!
And you know what I mean. And so, all right, then I just find alternative things to do. Infrared sauna helps a lot. If you're injured, a foam roller ain't going to fix that. You just need to ice and be in that.
So I have this incredible bed, amazing pillow. What are the best sheets?
Bamboo, period, across the board.
Really?
Pure.
All right.
Bamboo is money.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, really good.
So before we wrap up, is there what's coming up at the end of 23 and 24 for Tony Horton? I mean, is there new content? You got some new ventures, you got videos coming out, causes in the pipeline. What can we all look forward to?
Well, I'm writing a book, but it'll probably come out at the end of 2024. It's an extension of the big picture. There's a whole lot of things. Oh. Here, I'll even read you some chapters.
Maybe I did a little foreshadowing with
maybe. These are all working titles. Change is mandatory. Your weight doesn't matter, but then again, it sort of does. I like that chapter title.
Cool.
This one I like: scary and mildly dangerous. Another one's called Ramekins. They're going to be short chapters. Every morsel matters. Aging is for idiots. Bitch less, adapt more. Pillow talk. It's not about you. Honesty over loyalty. Ask for what you need. Commune and connect. Predict the future. Reverse engineering. Those are just some of the chapters. Me and Chat GPT are writing a nice book together right now. So it's fascinating. Like, I'll put in a chapter title and I'll put in a description. Like, for example, when I wrote honesty over loyalty, I wrote a whole paragraph and then I just say, and write it in Tony Horton's voice. And this thing comes up that is like, my God, no wonder everybody's scared of this technology. Because it was brilliant. Now I had to go in there and edit and pull that out. That doesn't apply. Like, it wasn't perfect by any means, but there's some gems in there. And when like typically when you write a book, you have a ghostwriter, right? You write the person's, like with my book, with Denis Fay. Denis Fay was, he didn't ghostwrite it, but he helped me create it. Tighten things up. He did some editing for me. It was very collaborative, right? And I'm going to give Chat GPT credit for that's going to be my ghostwriter. You know what I mean? I might have to, if it never gets published, I'll have to give it up and they'll go, okay, let me get somebody in here to kind of tighten things up. That's how most books are written, these days.
No doubt.
I mean, the big picture, that was basically all me, top to bottom. He helped me rearrange things. Do your best and forget the rest was a concept in a chapter. And he said, that's your first chapter. That's what people know you for. So I had to kind of rewrite that. But I'm excited about this. It's going to be a while. Then again, if you go to TonyHortonLife.com, that's TonyHortonLife.com, you go to the website and you'll see what I'm doing and where I'm going and where I'm speaking. The annual Tony Horton Ted McDonald ski, snowboard, yoga retreat will be in January of 2024. This will be our 11th annual. It's just fun. It's just a blast. We go to Grand Targhee, we ski Jackson, we do yoga in the morning, we do some sort of like a yin yoga type thing at the end of the day. And then we eat meals together and it's just a freaking blast. And then a lot of my speaking gigs are private things so that you wouldn't find that you'd have to hire me, but you can go to TonyHortonLife.com. And if you want to hire me to come to do the seminar I did last night, the 11 laws seminar that I did in North Dakota about 3 weeks ago. And I do other, depending on what you're needing. I go to Florida in October and do an event for some folks there. And then of course the supplement line, mypowerlife.com. That's mypowerlife.com. If you want to save some money on the supplements, it's Tony30 is the code. So go to the website, mypowerlife.com, and put in Tony30. You can save 30%. But if you buy in bulk, you'll save even more. If you buy like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 at a time of anything that I've got going on. Good descriptions in there, good testimonials about people who've been using it. And then again, the project that I did post Beachbody, is Power Nation, PowerNationFitness.com. There are so many programs in there. It's going to look very, very familiar. A lot of these are very P90X, P90X2 like. And there's like what Beachbody did is that initially it was just me. P90X had 12 workouts. The Power of 4 has 24 routines in a schedule, which is really like, it's muscle confusion times 10. And then we have Michael Bradley in there. His animal flow routine is ridiculous. Chelsea McKinney was a competitive gymnast. Her stuff is totally different than mine and Michael's. And then you've got Steve Holmeson's stuff right now, which is part rehab, part exercise. So you're actually doing rehab in the middle of the routine, saving my wife's knee and helping her get out of pain, which is really great. And then of course, Brian Palatucci is on our site and his is the latest. And he's taken, it's called the Power of 4 Greatest Hits. So it's all hit training routines, all his favorite moves. So it's, there's lots to pick up from, you know what I mean? And that it's growing, like a lot of Peloton struggling, Beachbody struggling, Tonal, even who I work for, trying to, that piece of equipment, as amazing and as futuristic and as cool as it is not affordable for a lot of people. So, but ours is, good old T Horton and his friends on a very affordable, you can get there's the VIP where you get the you get the podcasts and you get all the VIP stuff. You can, win prizes and everything else. And there's just the base program, which is just the workouts. You get to make a choice on what you want to do there. So
with all your success, I mean, where do you invest? What do you gravitate to for investment? Obviously, as a commercial real estate guru, we're always talking about investments, and our audience always like to know what does a guy like Tony Horton do with money?
I mean, I'm old school, man. I got a guy who managed my parents' money. His name is Chris Wallace. He's out of Rhode Island. He's out of my hometown where I was born, and he did well by my parents. Very conservative guy. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what the market's doing.
Sure.
No crypto for me yet. Not really there. But I will say that, I mean, I don't want to get into the numbers, but, it's stocks and bonds, man. Super safe stuff, and that's it. No properties yet. Haven't really got there yet. We have a place in Jackson Hole that's worth now 3 times what we paid for it a bunch of years ago.
You gotta look at commercial real estate. You get great tax benefits, best investment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing good. I mean, decent amount of money's coming in, and I'm not wasting money or pissing money away like I used to. And I'm not, I'm semi-retired. Sean and I vacation all the time. Last year, I was in Jackson for the entire month of January and the first week of February. I was there for 10 days in December. I was there for 10 days in March. We were just there for 10 days a couple of weeks ago after being home for a week, after being in Paris, London, and Rome. We're leaving for Rhode Island in 8 days. We'll be there for 10. We come back. We'll go back to Jackson Hole for 10 days, right? So, like, I'm on the road. I'm going everywhere.
You're enjoying life.
Yeah, our life is good.
That's awesome.
I love that. I mean, we need a new pool. We got some other expensive construction stuff we're putting on hold, but whatever. We're into the travel right now. I mean, post-pandemic, I feel comfortable that I don't, have to worry about COVID anymore. And, we didn't do anything or go anywhere for 2.5 years. So now we're doing it all in one chunk after chunk, So, and still slipping in the work, still doing the tonal gigs, shooting. I'm shooting for Golden Hippo and Power Life next Wednesday, right? Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up with our 3 questions. Are you ready? I'm waiting for you to come on.
Oh God, here we go.
All right. So you're 65 years old now. You just had your birthday. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
And you look great. I mean,
By the way, that's it. That's my hair. It grows out that color.
I'm tired of people going. I know. People are like, "Does he dye his hair?" I go, "I don't think he does. I think it's natural. Like mine's natural." Okay. And by the way, I got my first California driver's license, and it was funny because I was with one of my sons, and he said, "Like, Dad, what are you choosing?" And I said, "Is there like a brown gray option?" He's like, "No, you got to pick one." He's like, "You're gray, Dad. Come on." And so, but you're not. I mean, you're dark and. I mean, it's pretty damn impressive.
By the way, from here to here, dyed.
Oh, dyed. Okay, yeah. All right. So you got gray in you. All right.
See, look. It's in there, man. Both my parents on their final days on this earth had more brown hair than they had gray hair. It's just that's a pure genetic miracle.
Here's the beautiful thing: you have a head of hair.
Yeah. I mean, it's going back a little bit. It used to be down there. But
that's the process. So you're 65 years old and you come to Laguna Beach in the studio. I say, we have a couch. And I say, Tony, lay on the couch, kick off your shoes. Let's go back to when you're 16 years old in Rhode Island. Knowing what you know now, okay, a lot of experiences, incredible icon in the fitness industry. Go back to when you're 16 years old. What would you tell yourself? Some of the lessons you learned that you could share and you could share with yourself 16 years old if you roll back. What would you tell yourself?
Well, because everything turned out pretty good.
I
mean, I pissed away a lot of time. I made a lot of mistakes. I was super lazy. I was a big procrastinator. I was afraid of my own shadow. I would just say, hey, man, it's going to be okay. Just keep fighting. Get off your ass. Stop being a lazy punk. Put down the beer. You know what I mean? Let's, whatever. But my meandering way to get here is fine. So, maybe on the other hand, I would say, I would say, dude, even though that you're a screw up, it's going to turn out great. just follow the path, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to, but it would have been nice if, look, I made it at 46.
Uh-huh.
I was finally on camera doing a thing. I was out of my apartment. You know what I mean? All my friends thought I was going to be a goner. Maybe it would have happened sooner, but here's what happens if you get success too young. You make bigger mistakes and you piss away more money and you end up getting married and divorced 3 freaking times. That kind of thing happens to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think for me, it happened exactly as it was supposed to happen. And along the way, with the books, with the mentors, with the right kind of people in my life, with the right lessons the trial and error parts of all that, life isn't perfect. It's not like, but it's 15 trillion times better than I ever thought it would be at 65. I mean, so I would just tell them to kick back and keep going, bro.
Did you ever smoke cigarettes or cigars in your life?
No, I smoked cigars when they were like a thing. And I went, this is awful. What am I doing?
It makes
like for 5 seconds, I got caught up in the peer pressure. And I went, no.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking 30 years ago, not because I had a problem.
Right.
Because when I did, I acted like an idiot and I woke up feeling like crap. For me, it wasn't like, oh, I need to do that again. After a few times of that, I was like, cut this out.
See, I collect wine and I don't even drink anymore. Like once in a while, I'll have a glass of wine, like good wine and stuff. And that's about it. But I agree with you. It's hard to be the best version of yourself when you're drinking. I don't see any.
Well, it forces you to be authentic all of the time.
Absolutely.
Because if you're drinking,
mm-hmm.
you ain't you anymore after
That's
about
right.
the second cocktail.
Totally.
You're different. Like people look at you and you go, oh, I don't know what happened to so-and-so, but he ain't standing in front of me anymore. He's this new person who's really opinionated and doesn't listen anymore. And you know what I mean? And then if it keeps going, then you're falling down on yourself and then you're just a fool. You just look like a fool. Like, I don't know how many people get super drunk and aren't so flippin' embarrassed that they'll never do it again, but they keep doing it again. You know what I mean? Like, let's dig a bigger hole. Let's dig a bigger hole. You know what I mean? But the addiction is addiction. So, a lot of people can't do it on their own like me. I was just like, I was like drinking a beer when I was like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
I like an ice cold beer, and I found some really non-alcoholic ones that are just on a hot day. Oh, that crack in the back of your throat, that malty flavor. I like it, but I don't drink real beer anymore. I don't need to do that.
So it's our last day on earth. God forbid. It's just me. It's just me and you, kid.
Yeah.
Really?
My wife's not here. Just you and me.
No, just me and you. It's just me and you. And it's our last meal together. It's your choice. What are we eating and what are we drinking? Now, by the way, you can get away from this plant-based stuff. I would. Of course. Last day. I mean, this could be like Rhode Island, like serious Italian food. Like, what are we eating and drinking?
Well, if I was, Roman style and I had I could vomit in between meals, I would have the elk medallions, medium rare, perfect, gorgeous. Wow. And I would have probably a wild piece of salmon that thick, just raw, sushi inside, but grilled on top. That would, like, I could have both. Seared, boom. I would have that pizza from the Cedar City pizza joint. Oh my God, that would be there. I would have like some kind of like a chocolate mousse dessert, something dark and hot and melt in your mouth, ridiculous. Probably some avocado toast. Love that, man. And then like a bowl of just some sugary, nasty cereal. I mean, obviously I couldn't eat it all. I wouldn't be able to eat it all. What was your go-to cereal as a kid? Like, were you like Cocoa Krispies? Cocoa Krispies, Milk Goods, chocolate, Cocoa Puffs, Lucky Charms, Captain Crunch. Were you like sugar smacks and drinking the bowl? Like, were you? Hell yeah, man! I would put sprinkle sugar on Cocoa Puffs. No wonder when I got to school, I was like, oh, I can't remember anything. I mean, I was a dead man in school, C- student. Imagine if I was eating just clean, healthy, breakfast every day. We didn't know. My mother, it was the 60s. So we got caught up in all that garbage they were selling us between the Roadrunner and Bugs Bunny. Oh yeah. Oh, those cereals. Yeah. And what I would drink, I wouldn't drink alcohol. I wouldn't want to do that. even then.
So what are we drinking?
I don't know, like a vanilla protein shake.
Oh, you're a vanilla guy. Okay.
I'm a chocolate guy too.
Okay.
I like them both.
All right.
But like strawberries,
Yeah.
cashews,
Okay.
flaxseed milk. I drink some version of that every single day. And I would do it then on my last day on earth.
So in our studio in Lagoon Beach, and you are more than welcome to come down. We'd love to have you in studio. We have a black door. And we have a grand piano inside our studio. We have 6+ electric guitars and acoustical guitars and a drum set.
Ooh.
If you could have any band or musician walk through that black door, it's your choice. They could be living or deceased, Tony. Who is
one artist?
Well, it could be a artist or a band, and they can come in, living or deceased, and play us a song. Who is walking through that door, and what song are they playing us?
Dude, it's Paul, George, Ringo, and John. It's the Beatles, man.
Okay, what are they playing us?
Yeah, it would be the Beatles, dude. To be there, to watch them do their thing, maybe in their prime, 1968, whatever. That'd be hard. The Police, all the band members of the Police at their peak would be something too. You know what I mean?
So what song would the Beatles play us in studio?
Come on, flat top, he come grooving up slowly. He got choo-choo eyeball, he want holy roller. He got hair down to his knees. Got to be good looking 'cause he's so hard to see. Come together right now over me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right there.
Well, Tony Horton, what a pleasure. You own it. That's why we wanted you on the show. You own every aspect of your life, and really a treat to have you on. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your thoughts on fitness and health and business, and really appreciate your time. If you are interested in listening to more episodes like this and hearing this incredible content that Tony Horton just dropped on us, kick that right-hand button and click subscribe. Feel free to click the like button as much as possible. And as we say out in the ether, let it go viral. And to follow me, go to benreinberg.com. You can follow me on all social media platforms. And if you are interested in passively investing in commercial real estate, log on to my company, Alliance, cgc.com. Feel free to log on and look at our brand new fund, the Alliance Medical Property Fund. We are the leaders in the United States investing in medical properties throughout the United States. Tony Horton, thank you so much for joining us today, and stay healthy, keep inspiring others, and keep rocking.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.